Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're doing a deep dive today, and you guys wanted it. You wanted to know how Trump getting reelected might shake up big tech and Silicon Valley and all that. And oh, let me tell you, we've got a whole stack of articles here from Business Standard, and yeah, things are going to get interesting.
One thing that's really kind of wild is, Elon Musk is a huge playbeer now in all this. He was super open about supporting Trump. And now people are even saying they might end up being pretty close.
Like really close.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
And that could totally change how tech is regulated.
That's crazy to think about.
For sure.
I even saw somewhere that Trump was thinking about putting Musk in charge of like a whole new department for making the government more efficient. Can you imagine?
Oh, man, that would be completely new territory. We've never seen a tech CEO have that much power in the White House.
Yeah, that's true.
And then everyone would start wondering, is that going to change how Tesla and SpaceX are treated?
Right.
Will they get special favors?
Exactly. And then what happens to all the other stuff? Antitrust laws, data privacy.
All the big stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are people who are already saying that Musk being so tight with Trump might mean that his companies don't get regulated as much as other companies.
So it's not just about like Tesla getting some special treatment or whatever. It's that it could change the whole landscape for everybody.
Right.
And that makes me think about the rest of Silicon Valley, too. Like a lot of those tech leaders were not shy about being against Trump in his first term.
Yeah.
But now it seems different.
Yeah, it does seem like things are different.
Quieter.
It feels like they've learned, like, remember what happened with Amazon and the Department of Defense?
Oh, yeah, with the cloud computing contract.
Yeah, Bezos criticized Trump publicly.
Uh-oh.
And then Amazon didn't get the contract.
Ouch.
Yeah, and now Bezos is out there sending congrats messages to Trump on X.
So maybe everyone's just trying to stay on his good side.
I think a lot of them are, even if they don't really like his policies.
It's like they're walking on eggshells or something. Trying to protect their companies without, abandoning what they believe in.
It's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
You know what else is going to be interesting to watch?
What?
Crypto.
Oh, yeah. I completely forgot about that. Trump wasn't exactly a fan before. But now...
things have changed.
Big time.
Yeah, it seems like. All those donations from the pro-crypto groups really did the trick.
Yeah.
Now Trump's like a crypto evangelist.
Seriously?
He even said he'd pardon Ross Ulbricht.
Wait, hold on. The Silk Road guy.
The one and only.
But he's serving a life sentence.
He is. But to the crypto world, Ulbricht is like a hero.
Yeah, I know.
So when Trump said he'd pardon him, well, that sent a huge message.
What kind of message?
That he's serious about making the U.S. a good place for crypto to grow.
So what does that actually look like? Like, are we talking less regulation, hands-off approach to crypto businesses?
It looks that way, yeah.
Yeah.
People are saying that with Trump being so pro-crypto, it'll be a lot easier to start crypto businesses. And that means more investment, more innovation. Remember how Bitcoin prices jumped when Trump was about to win?
To the moon, right.
Right.
But I guess not everyone's going to be happy about all this.
Oh, no, definitely not.
That's not going to be happy.
I think Google might be having some sleepless nights.
Because of all the accusations of bias against conservatives.
Yeah, all that and more.
Yeah.
They've really butted heads with Trump and his people.
Oh, yeah, that was a big deal.
And those accusations haven't gone away.
No.
I think now that Trump's back, those accusations are going to ramp up.
So it could get messy.
Oh, yeah, it could get really messy.
Really messy.
Some people are even saying that the administration might go after Google with antitrust laws.
So they could try to break them up?
It's possible.
Wow. That's intense.
Yeah, it shows that even a company like Google isn't immune to politics.
Definitely not. Oh. We have to talk about TikTok. Remember all that stuff about banning it?
Yeah.
Well, get this. Trump's done a complete 180.
Seriously?
Yeah. He wanted to ban it because it's Chinese and all that.
Right.
But now he wants to keep it.
What changed his mind?
Well, people are saying that the lawsuits against the ban were getting really complicated. And also, maybe he realized it's better to have TikTok on his side.
So it's all about control.
Like always.
But honestly, nobody knows what's going to happen to TikTok.
It's like one of those political thriller movies.
It really is.
Yeah.
You know, another thing that's going to be interesting.
What's that?
AI.
Oh, yeah. That wasn't a big campaign issue or anything, but it's huge.
It is huge GE.
What's Trump going to do about AI?
Well, the people around him are all about what they call accelerationism.
Accelerationism.
Basically, they want to develop AI as fast as possible,
Yeah.
and they don't want a lot of regulations slowing things down.
So full speed ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They think the benefits of AI are way bigger than any risks, and they think the U.S. needs to be the best at it.
But wait, didn't Musk say he was worried about AI? Like that it could be dangerous?
He did. He even said he thought some regulation might be a good idea.
So that's kind of awkward, right?
Really awkward. Musk's one of the biggest names in AI, and he's worried about it. But Trump and his people just want to go faster and faster.
Sounds like a recipe for conflict.
Yeah, it does.
So we've got political games, new laws maybe, and maybe even a fight over AI.
It's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
My brain is overloaded.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There's a lot more to talk about, like how Silicon Valley's political landscape might change with Trump back in charge.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
We'll get into all of that after a quick word from our sponsors.
Yeah, it's pretty wild how much tech and politics are all mixed up now. It's going to be really interesting to see how Silicon Valley deals with all this. Totally. Like before the break, we were talking about how some of those tech leaders used to be really outspoken about not liking Trump. But now they're being way more careful. So do you think Silicon Valley could actually start leaning more towards Trump?
That's the big question, isn't it? I don't think it'll happen overnight.
Yeah.
But there are definitely some signs that things could be shifting. Remember that podcast with the venture capitalists?
One who said most of his guests were secretly pro-Trump.
Yeah, that one. It definitely made people wonder.
Yeah, it's one thing to support someone privately, but to actually come out and say you agree with policies that a lot of people in Silicon Valley think are like totally against their values, that's a whole other thing.
And that's what we're going to see play out, I think. Will those people who kept quiet before start speaking up now? Will companies feel like they have to agree with Trump to be successful?
It's like that whole don't be evil thing is being put to the test, right? Like, how do you say you're all about diversity and inclusion when the president is, well, when he's accused of being the opposite?
It's a tough situation for sure.
Yeah.
Some companies might just try to keep their business and their politics separate. Others might try to work behind the scenes to change things.
But what about the people who work in tech? Like, if Silicon Valley starts to feel less welcoming to immigrants and minorities, are the best people still going to want to work there?
That's a really good point. The tech industry needs talented people from all over the world. And Trump's policies on immigration, wow. They've already made it harder to bring people in from other countries.
So it could actually hurt the tech industry in the long run.
Yeah, if it keeps going in that direction, it could really hurt innovation.
Wow. So it's not just about politics, there's a real economic impact too.
Exactly.
And what about the culture inside those companies? If people are divided about Trump, that could cause a lot of problems.
For sure. Especially in Silicon Valley, where people are already pretty passionate about politics.
Yeah, that's true. It feels like things could get really tense.
Yeah, it's definitely something to watch. But let's move on from the general stuff and talk about some specifics. Like, what are some things that Trump could actually do in his second term that would directly affect tech companies?
Yeah, let's get into the details. What are you keeping an eye on?
Well, regulation is going to be a big battle. Trump has said that he's not happy with how social media companies moderate content, especially when it comes to conservative voices.
Oh, yeah. I remember all that talk about shadow banning. I bet that's going to come up again.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We might see some new laws that force platforms to be more neutral, or they give users more power if they think they've been censored unfairly.
But how do you even define neutral when it comes to content? It's so subjective.
I know, right? It's going to be a total nightmare to try to figure that out.
So, a headache for everyone. What else is on the agenda?
Antitrust is another big one. Remember how Trump's administration was already investigating Google and Amazon?
Yeah, they even hinted that they might try to break them up.
Exactly. Yeah. With Trump back in office, that pressure is only going to get worse.
So more lawsuits, more investigations.
Maybe even some forced splits.
And with Musk potentially being Trump's BFF,
the whole playing field could change.
it's like a high-stakes game of chess with billions of dollars on the line.
It is. And the future of innovation is at stake, too.
That's a good point. And we can't forget about immigration. We talked about that earlier. And it's a huge issue for tech.
Absolutely.
So many companies rely on people from all over the world to fill those really specialized roles.
Yeah.
And if it gets even harder to bring those people in, it could really slow things down.
Totally. It could also make it harder to keep the people they already have. If talented people feel like they're not welcome in the U.S., they might start looking for jobs somewhere else.
So all those smart people could leave Silicon Valley.
It's a possibility.
That would be bad news for the whole U.S. tech industry.
It would. It just goes to show you that even decisions that don't seem related to tech can have a huge impact.
Yeah, it's all connected. But let's zoom out a bit. We've been talking about the U.S., but what about the rest of the world? How is Trump being reelected gonna affect tech globally?
That's a great question, because what happens in Washington doesn't stay in Washington. Other countries are watching all this very carefully, and they might start doing things differently too.
Like what kinds of things?
Well, if the U.S. starts being more protectionist under Trump, other countries might do the same thing. They might put up trade barriers, and that could mess up supply chains all over the world.
It could make things more expensive too.
Yeah, and it could make it harder for tech companies to do business internationally.
So basically, the global tech market could become a lot more chaotic.
It's definitely a possibility. And then there's the competition between the U.S. and China. Trump is really focused on beating China when it comes to things like AI and 5G.
Right.
And now that he's back for a second term, that competition is probably going to get even more intense.
So the U.S. and China could become even bigger rivals when it comes to tech.
It's looking that way. And that has all sorts of implications.
Yeah.
For data privacy, for national security, for everything, really.
There's a lot to take in.
It is. And remember, we're just at the beginning of all this.
Yeah.
It's going to take years for the full impact of Trump's re-election to become clear.
Buckle up, everybody.
Yeah, this is going to be a wild ride. And remember, this isn't just about business and politics. It's about the future of technology. And that affects all of us.
So true.
We'll talk more about that after a quick break.
Okay, so we're back. And wow, we've gone through a lot. Elon Musk, crypto going crazy, Silicon Valley maybe turning red. It's a lot to think about.
Yeah, it really shows you how much tech and politics are all tangled up now. It's not just about building cool gadgets anymore. It's about power and who has it.
So true. And I think it's important for us to remember that all this stuff actually affects people's lives, like yours listening right now. What are the big takeaways from all this? How does this change how you see the world?
You know, one thing that really struck me is how much of this is happening behind the scenes. Like, remember when we talked about Bezos congratulating Trump? That's not just about policy. It's about showing everyone that they're on good terms.
Yeah, it's like a whole soap opera with billionaires.
Totally. And those relationships, they have real consequences. If you work in tech, think about how this could change your job, your career, even the projects you work on. And if you're just someone who uses tech, think about how the apps you use, the services you depend on, could change because of new laws and regulations.
It's kind of scary, but also it's good to remember that we're not just helpless bystanders. We can stay informed. We can talk about these things, and we can make our voices heard.
Exactly. And that brings me to another important point. Don't just believe everything you read. Think critically. Ask questions. And try to see things from different perspectives.
And remember, this is all changing so fast. What we talked about today might be completely different in a year. So stay curious and keep learning.
Couldn't agree more.
But before we go, I want to leave you with one last thought. We read all these articles, and we talked about a lot of different things, but nobody really talked about how all this is going to affect innovation.
That's interesting.
Will a second Trump term make people more cautious about new technology? Or will it actually make innovation explode? Especially in areas that Trump cares about, like defense or surveillance.
Those are really good questions.
And who's going to benefit from all this new technology? Will it help ordinary people? Or will it just make the powerful even more powerful?
Yeah, these are things we all need to think about. Because the future of technology isn't set in stone. It depends on the choices we make.
So to everyone listening, stay engaged, stay curious, and keep asking those tough questions. We all have a part to play in shaping the future of tech.
Well said. And thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you learned something and that you'll keep exploring these important issues.
Until next time.